Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddler Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are back from the Slammer. Yeah, sure. We're out the Pokey. I don't know. We're free, and we're here to declare our opinions on this episode of The Simpsons. And I say we, of course, because joining me, as always, my prison roommate and your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm not supposed to be here. I'm innocent. Somebody get me out. Somebody trade places with me. No, I don't want someone like 10 years from now when we're still doing the show to read too much into that statement and think that Richie was really mad all the time. It's all right there in the podcast. If you go back and listen, I'm fine. We are good. I guess I can survive with Miles for another 10 years at least.
What are you planning in your manifesto right now, sir?
I know, right? I'm still a little, I guess I do have a little bit lingering anger issues to talk about in the future. Best darn everything possibly. But no, this episode, I forgot about who the guest star was in this episode. So that made me kind of happy when I remembered who it finally was in this. So we got some fun stuff to talk about today, man. I think I guess I should throw it back to you. The man, the myth, the El Podcastico Magnifico. It is Miles.
And we are talking about the episode Pokey Mom today, which is a very clever little title with the popularity of Pokemon at the time, and Pokey being a term.
Oh no, don't term. No, Miles, no.
Slurm. Damn it, no. Yeah, Richie and I just heard the news about Futurama, and we have controversial opinions about it. It was grinding our gears, we'll say. But we're talking about The Simpsons right now, Pokey Mom specifically, which originally aired on January 14th, 2001. We get a chalkboard gag, which is "I Will Not Let the Dogs Out," which is a reference to that popular song that released in July 26th of 2000. In the year 2000, had to do it again.
You said you didn't want to do it anymore.
I really don't, but I can't help myself. Dude, honestly, I can't help myself but laugh every time I hear about anything in pop culture, especially like family-friendly events or anything using that song. Because do you know what the song "Who Let the Dogs Out" is about?
I don't know, chasing women.
Kind of in a roundabout way, but I think you're probably in that sense placing the dog as the man in that scenario. Yeah. But as sexist as this is, I think it's the Baja Men or the band that sings that. They have in interviews said that song is actually about their experience going out, and there's a lot of ugly women out. And they asked each other, "Who let the dogs out tonight?" And that is how the origins of that fucking song came to be. Wow. And it became like one of the most popular things for people to play at like kids parties and like, I don't know, the rodeo, for instance.
Yeah. The world's a terrible place, Miles.
It really is. And they don't even like keep it hidden like they do in the Simpsons living room with the couch gag, where we see the normal looking couch with the Simpsons family. And as soon as the Simpsons sit in that or on that couch, the whole room spins around like haunted house style. And we get a very Vincent Price looking dude who is torturing Ned Flanders, as one would expect.
I guess one would expect Ned to be tortured. I'd expect Vincent Price's character to start feeling tortured when Ned is being too kind about the torturing.
He's gotten into a lot of weird things since he was proven that God isn't real last week. A lot less judgment to worry about. But yeah, and you already mentioned it, so we'll talk about it. We get a really cool guest star in this episode, and it's the second Batman to ever appear on The Simpsons, because we get Michael Keaton, who is going to be the voice of our inmate that Marge just, becomes infatuated with his skill, we'll say. That sounds dirty. I tried to not make that sound dirty, and I ended up, I think, making it sound even dirtier. It's fine.
It sounded like he had a lot of fun doing the voice in this episode.
It did sound like he had a lot of fun doing the voice of this episode. And this is one of those episodes that after I watched it, I was very excited to watch the commentary for this one. And I have to say, man, I am like maybe as disappointed as I've ever been in a commentary reading, because like, while there was some fun moments and they clearly had a good time, this is one of those classic cases where we get like so many people on the commentary track that literally no information was actually given about the episode. In fact, I'll tell you right now, the commentary for this episode featured Mike Scully, Matt Selman, Joel Cohen, Dan Castellaneta, Bob Anderson, Tom Martin, Ian Maxone Graham, Don Payne, John Frank, and for some reason, as great as it was to hear his voice, he had nothing to do with this episode. So it was weird to have Fat Tony himself, Joe Montana, in the commentary for this one, just having a good old time being Fat Tony. But there was no Michael Keaton or even any references to Michael Keaton. In fact, I just listed 10 names, and that is 10 times the amount of trivia facts I got from the the commentary track for this one, because I only have one thing, and that's literally they noted that the "Can I Smell Your Dress" guy from the art class at the prison is he's now dead, but at the time was the very popular comedian Robert Schimmel.
So, man, like you think there'd be a lot to say there.
You would think there'd be so much to talk about with Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah, he did that old ruffian voice there that I enjoyed and thought, oh, that's cool. And wow, that just blows my mind.
Yeah,
come back and redo the commentary.
I know, right? But I guess that's what we're here for. We should have got Michael Keaton to come on this podcast.
No, what's wrong with us?
That would have been the move, I think. Should have reached out.
We could have had Birdman on this. Wasn't that his character's name in that movie? That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was. And now there's rumors that they're gonna do the whole Batman, Spider-Man thing now too. So maybe we'll see him. Maybe we'll see him gearing up. But anyway, we should probably get into this episode to some extent. I don't know. Maybe we'll get immediately side railed again here, but. This episode opens up with Marge trying to get Homer out of bed, which, as you might imagine, is not an easy task. But apparently they have one of those like automatic beds that will like lay flat or fold up depending on your desired comfort level. And Marge accidentally turns it up a little too hard because she literally folds Homer in half, Jason Voorhees style from Freddy versus Jason. And in Marge's horrified state, she sees a red liquid start to pool up in the mattress. And of course, she assumes it's blood. But fortunately for her, Homer just likes to go to bed with a juice box.
Sorry, homie, but you promised to take me to the Apron Expo today.
Oh, just give me 10 more hours.
Come on. You and the kids always want to do fun stuff. But today, we're doing something I like. They're unveiling a combination apron schmuck. It's called a schmapron.
Did you say smockern?
No,
Oh.
schmapron.
Oh. I like that. I fucked that up, but I like that. Like he couldn't give two shits about a smapron, but a smockern gets him up in the morning. Yeah, I guess I would. I wonder where those tie. I bet that has something to do with it. So Marge literally drags Homer out of the bed. They get everybody in the car and they're off to the Apron Expo. And funny enough, it seems like everybody in the Simpsons family had a really good time because on the drive home, they're showing off the aprons that they purchased. Lisa has a barbecue is murder apron that she's excited to wear on the 4th of July. Bart bought a lead apron that'll protect him when he goes in the basement. And Homer got what he thought was a grill power apron, but it was very clearly like a 1960s, like flower power style girl power apron, which is also stylish and fun. But I think Homer was a bit confused.
Well, and I just like because the one person that seems upset with the expo is Marge.
There's too many aprons at the expo.
And I love that it's just like literally a throwaway joke at the beginning of the episode. We don't actually see the expo. I'm assuming because we just saw an expo in the previous episode.
Probably,
they didn't want to show it. But it's just
the really, animators really were just like, if you make us do another fucking expo, we're striking. Like we're out.
The expos have become the new like Simpsons opening watching TV shtick.
Which, I mean, to be fair, culture, especially even more so now, it seems like there's a fan expo for everything all the time, every weekend. Like if you're a fan of shit, you can go and find your people paying exuberant prices to show their fandom.
Yeah. Hey, we've been to one.
We have been. Yeah. I've been to more than one, unfortunately, but they're still fun, but they are pricey.
And how?
I like that on the way home too, after Marge expresses her disappointment, Homer's just like, now it's time to go off and relax in bed with a juice box.
Yeah.
Like that's like one of his favorite pastimes. But as he's like fantasizing about catching some more Z's, another 10 hours of sleep, he hits the brakes and comes like slamming to like a skidding halt in the middle of the road as he sees a sign for a prison rodeo and decides
a prison rodeo.
And they're going to that prison rodeo, which is also kind of funny, just in the sense that this is supposed to be a Marge thing, and it still somehow very much turns into a Homer thing.
I like that we're going to find out in a little bit that this prison is literally, as most places that are convenient for the episode, right behind the Simpsons home.
Very close to the school too.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough. I love that Homer walks into the prison rodeo with a pennant that says prisoners or inmates, I think it says on it. Just keeping that Schwartzwelder joke going is always funny. They see that they're gonna get the bucking bronco riding, and bull riding, I believe, is the other one, right?
Yeah.
They immediately see like jackass levels of people getting crunched by bulls, and the warden who's also doing the commentary has don't feel too bad for him, folks. He's in here for erecting a nativity scene on city property.
Boo!
And even Marge is just like, there's just so much evil in this world.
It's good separation of church and state there, Miles.
That only exists in The Simpsons, but yes.
I just like the turn on like the conservative response to something that's not conservative. Like it's kind of like a double joke there. It was beautiful.
It's a very well written joke in the way that like it's a expectation you would expect to have from a different group of people over a different cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I also like we see a hog tying competition, and an inmate starts like holding a knife to the guy, or I'm sorry, a knife to the calf's throat that he just hogtied, and the cops have to come up and break him up, and he's like, hey, it's fine, we were just having a conversation, right? Right,
warden.
But that's when we're introduced to Jack Crowley, who is apparently such a lowlife that Bob Dylan wrote a song to keep him behind bars. And he's riding the bull that pretty quickly throws him up against a wall in a pretty, like, again, I already used the Jackass reference, but this may be even more so like a Jackass stunt gone wrong. And the warden's like, oh, he's down. It looks like old Tornado wants to caramelize his creme brulee.
Yeah, do that.
Marge is freaking out though, like seeing the danger that this human life is in.
He got tossed right below where the Simpsons are sitting, basically, too.
Yeah, they had a great view, of course. No, it was actually opposite of them, so the bull would have time to charge up. No, he got tossed by the Simpsons. The bull is on the other end of the thing. That's what it is. Yeah,
Jack's literally like right below the Simpsons.
Yeah, you're right. I love that Homer's like, just relax. They've got rodeo clowns for this, but we cut to the rodeo clown dressing room, and they're too concerned about if their makeup is even to be out doing their job at this point.
Is my lipstick even?
Oh, just go like this.
I honestly thought it was going to be like a Krusty shot where he was like placing a bet or something, but
it feels like that could have been a funny Krusty joke. Yeah, I agree. But they went with a low-hanging fruit joke instead. You can't blame them necessarily. Homer decides that they need something red, and he immediately looks around to find his daughter wearing her red dress that she always wears. So he literally hangs her over the rail and uses her like a matador might to lure the bull towards them.
Hey, Toro, here's something to gore.
And Lisa's like, Dad!
Not now, honey. Daddy's busy.
And it works brilliantly. Homer's plan is going off without a hitch. The bull starts charging his daughter, and he pulls her away to look for his son. And he's like, now for a little calming blue. Hey, where's your blue shirt?
I don't have a blue shirt.
I love that joke. And again, this is the type of thing that I wish they would have talked about on the commentary a little bit, but they didn't at all. But this is, of course, a reference to very early on in Bart's lifespan and the early seasons. He actually wore a blue shirt before he had a red shirt.
Yeah, that would have been, that's a good little self-referential humor there.
Mm-hmm. So instead, the bull just rams the wall. He pulls Bart out of the way, having the bull ram the wall. And that ends up basically the guard tower had the guy who is supposed to be on lookout had fallen asleep. And when he hears this commotion, he just assumes it must be the prisoners breaking out or causing a ruckus. So he just starts blindly shooting tear gas into the audience.
Then you get the warden. Maybe it's just the tear gas. Or maybe this was the best damn prison rodeo ever.
Homer had taken did he get kicked by the bull or just taken a fall? He hurt his back.
He fell onto the actual, like,
the gate.
Toro. No, he fell in the actual ring and got kicked by the bull.
Didn't he get kicked up right? I also did just see Jackass, so I might legitimately be confusing Johnny Knoxville with Homer at this point.
No, Homer got kicked by the bull.
Gotcha.
So he's injured.
Was
Jackass good, Miles?
The new one I enjoyed. I don't think it's as good as the first three, but it's still very much worth seeing.
All right, that's your quick review by Miles. Tune in next week for a new one.
I intend to watch it again at some point for sure. It's definitely just good, pure comedy.
All right, now that little routine's over. You just doubled the length of your review. That we can't do that anymore.
Triple down. Got it. Go see Jackass Forever in theaters now. Dumb. Damn it. Again, get the money and then run the ad mid podcast. That's how that works. Anyway, we see Homer is lying in like the infirmary, essentially. He's lying there silently. Marge,
did you see who else was in the infirmary?
We did see a few familiar faces, or actually we didn't see one of their faces, did we?
No, Sideshow Bob was in the infirmary. You could see him in the background. He was all taped up. So I guess he got hurt by the bull or tear gas or something. But
well, it also has on IMDb. After Marge visits the prison, Marge says to Bart that Sideshow Bob will be seeing him real soon. And actually, our next Sideshow Bob episode is just 3 episodes from now, so it's going to be right around the corner.
Yeah, here we go.
Which the last time we saw him wasn't since season 8, so it actually has been a while since we've had a Sideshow Bob appearance.
Holy crap!
Yeah, good times, right? But in that infirmary, Marge is asking her husband about her back, and Homer's like, "I can't complain." But then it pans up, and he's pointing to a sign above his bed that literally says "No complaining."
Oh, that's just for the prisoners. You can complain all you want.
Oh God, my back, it hurts so much. And my job is just so unfulfilling.
Try to focus on something else. You like Jimi Hendrix, right?
And that's where we see the first of many incredible works of art in this episode. We see this beautiful painting of Jimi Hendrix. And Marge even points out that the artist even captured Jimmy's passion and intensity.
And his fondness for the guitar.
And this is where we actually first get our first line from Jack. He says, "Thank you kindly, ma'am. They won't give us art supply, so I had to paint it with pudding."
A convict painted that?
And the warden just is nonchalantly, "Yep."
Well, I studied art. This guy's got real gifts.
Are you kidding? Look, he painted a unicorn in outer space. I'm asking you, what's it breathing?
Air?
Ain't no air in space.
There's an air in space museum.
I swear to God, I will not change my mind this episode. That is the best joke in this episode. Absolutely. When Homer said there's an air in space museum, that absolutely kills me. And it's so good. Like such a clever little like way to twist that.
Batman's a detective.
So we see that the guards toss Homer out of prison after he gets smart with them by pointing out that there's an air in space museum. And as they're walking out, they actually see Jack is raking leaves, and he's actually raked the leaves into a beautiful sunset. And Marge is at this point, I think fair to say, smitten with this inmate's ability to create, essentially.
Well, and he's not hard on the eyes either, Miles.
With that little southern drawl, but not like the Warden where it's like over to country. He's just got a little hint of grizzly in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
We see the leaves blow this Jack's leaf painting away, and both him and Marge sigh kind of sadly. We then cut over to the exercise yard where we see Bart and Lisa are working out, and Lisa is starting to get a little nervous being surrounded by inmates.
They are coming back for us, aren't they?
And Bart, as he's just pumping iron, I don't know.
He's pumping a lot of iron.
Yeah,
too.
dude, he's ready to get prison ripped, dude. And can you believe that all of that? We had Homer in bed folded in half, the apron convention and the prison rodeo, the infirmary, and the introduction of our mysterious, handsome inmate with an artistic ability, all in 4 minutes and 55 seconds for the first act. That
I can believe that, Miles, because I see it in the script.
Well, honestly, obviously that's true, but like also it just feels like they accomplished a lot with very little time in that one.
Mm-hmm, they did, absolutely.
Yeah. We see the next day that Homer's back pains are continuing. He explains that there's a dull ache, and then it's overlaid on that is a club sandwich of pain. Only instead of bacon, there's agony. And then a few minutes later, he's like, Marge, can I have a BLT?
Marge is just staring out at the window.
Where we see that they like literally just over their backyard is the Waterville State Penitentiary where they just visited. Which, how could there be a prison rodeo happening that close to the house and Homer's just now hearing about it? Come on.
Because he's Homer.
It's true. Marge decides that she'd like to do some volunteer work at the prison and asks Homer how he'd feel about it.
First, I'd feel like having a BLT. Then, proud of you.
And actually, Marge is like, oh, homie. Like, she takes that as about as good as it's going to get. So... there's a great scene here where Marge arrives at the prison and the guy who's like buzzing them in is just like such a smart aleck. And at first it seems like maybe just to Marge because she's like, hi, I'm here to teach an art class. I love he's like an art class. And then I can't remember who the next guy is, but he's like, I'm here to identify a witness. Maybe it's something that sounds very like official. And like the guy does the same shit. Marge starts her class out by welcoming them to freeing the artist within. Not literally, of course. And we actually, when the prisoners don't laugh at Marge's joke, the guard cocks a shotgun, so they know that they're supposed to interact. Marge wanted to have them paint fresh fruits, but the prison cafeteria could only provide a can of sauerkraut.
Ooh.
She dumps it out onto a plate and it looks awful. So she's like trying to make it better. Ugh, that's so depressing. Let's let a little sunshine in. But of course, there are bars on the windows. So the sunshine casts shadows across the sauerkraut, making it look even sadder.
Oh,
this is where we get our prisoner who is like, hey, can I smell your dress? And again, the one thing they mentioned on the commentary that what I would say is an interesting trivial fact is that was stand-up comedian Robert Schimmel, who sadly passed away in 2010.
I don't remember any of his work.
I'm sure you would recognize him if you saw him.
Okay. Hey, you show some respect. This one here is not for smelling.
And again, this is Jack defending Marge's honor, who she's already a bit smitten. And she thanks Jack and is excited to get to the painting. I do like that the prisoner then asks Jack, hey, can I smell your clothes? We cut over to Homer, who is now visiting Dr. Hibbert for his back pain.
Your spine is more twisted than Sinbad's take on marriage.
So just give me some drugs and surgery.
Oh, I'd love to, but to be honest, modern medicine has a lousy record of treating the back. We spend too much time on the front.
And Homer evaluates. Yeah, there's some neat stuff on the front.
And he's
and
like
actually,
staring down.
I guess I did lie because they did mention on the commentary that was a joke pitched by Carolyn Omine. So, good for her. That's a great joke.
We've got commentary.
Yeah, there we go. We get a bit explaining that while Homer thought that real doctors hated chiropractors, Homer explains that is their official stance, but between Hibbert, Homer, and his golf clubs, chiropractors are miracle workers.
Oh, okay. The truth gets out.
And the truth on this one for me is very much like last week when we discussed the episode Homer and we talked about how little the B plot actually was part of the episode. I remember distinctly this whole trash can chiropractor thing being an entire episode by itself. Like this. Yeah. This did not feel like a memory of a B plot. This felt like I thought was going to be like the main thing that happened in an episode of The Simpsons.
I definitely did not remember it happening in this episode.
Yeah, same. And I love like the trash can chiropractor bit to me is one of like, just for whatever reasons, just a very memorable, stands out. Like anytime I see that style of trash can, or if it's like used in a wrestling match, for instance, like I always have like the little chuckle in the back of my head, like he's going to end up helping his opponent.
Yeah.
So Marge continues to guide her students in the art class at the prison. She's helping one student because instead of him using a violent stabbing motion, she shows him how he can use a pleasurable stroking motion. That sounded dirty.
What the hell, Miles?
With me today, man?
Get your mind out of the gutter.
This will teach me to, I don't know. Anyway, I'm afraid to talk because it's just going to make it worse. Much like this guy's painting, regardless if he's stabbing or stroking, is going to look bad because it was of himself killing the judge that I assume sentenced him to prison.
So that probably was very pleasurable for him.
That's true. But once again, the shining star of the class, while that was a arguably very good painting, especially done with a stabbing motion. Mm-hmm. But Jack has painted something quite beautiful. Stone angel statues with one of them coming to life and flying over a fence. And Marge literally has to wonder and ask Jack, how did someone so sensitive like you end up in the Pokey?
Shot a poo.
He basically casually explains that he got locked up for shooting a poo. And then Marge has to go on and like be like, oh, well, actually, a lot of people shoot a poo. It's now just $100 fine.
Maybe I belong in here. I got a lot of anger.
Did somebody just tell him that Futurama is being renewed?
Maybe.
People are going to wonder why we're angry about that. And we're going to talk about it, but not until we get there on that best darn everything. But we're not in the team happy like a lot of people seem to be. Anyway, I don't see any anger, Richie. And Marge motions towards the painting that Jack just made and explains, I see a yearning for freedom. Do you have a title?
Time to kill.
Titles are hard.
I thought Dr. Hibbert was going to give Homer a Dr. Nick card. Like I legitimately did.
Or emotionally like, yeah, that's right. I'm a chiropractor.
Yeah. But no, he gets some guy named Dr. Steve, who we've never heard of or seen.
Never heard of or never will see again after this episode, I think, or I'm pretty sure. Maybe. Maybe there's a whole Dr. Steve episode I'm not familiar with. But after seeing chiropractor and getting his adjustment, Homer is like, hey, it feels a little better.
I thought it might. Now I'll need to see you 3 times a week for many years.
And they're definitely, I've been to chiropractors like this, like occasionally when you have to go or whatever. And it always seems like they're like, oh yeah, it looks like you're pretty twisted right now. So we're going to need to get you probably twice a week, but in time we can probably get that down to once a week. And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you when my back hurts, buddy. We cut back to the Simpsons kitchen where Marge is busy making a batch of cookies. And This is where we get the sequence when Lisa asks how is the slammer. Marge tells Bart that Sideshow Bob said he'll be seeing him soon. And I do love Bart's like, oh, that Bob, the guy who's trying to kill him multiple times. Marge explains that Jack, her diamond in the rough, is up for parole, and the cookies she's baking are to help win the favor of the parole board, who apparently she's going to give them cookies as a bribe and speak on his behalf.
Yeah, but then Bart wants a cookie. But Marge is like,
Not until you finish your sundae.
Oh.
This is a really weird joke, but it does get funnier the more they go to it, I will say.
Yeah.
But yeah, for whatever reason, Bart has an incredible looking ice cream sundae, and he barely wants to eat it.
Marge is like, 2 more bites.
At the parole hearing, Jack explains, I'm sure your macaroons are scrumptious, Marge, but I've seen this warden turn down brownies. Honest to goodness, brownies.
Next.
And we see the warden take a bite of the cookie.
Oh, it's you. Well, just let me ink up my old denied stamp.
Warden, please. This man is a gentle soul. I know he's made mistakes, but someone with his talent belongs on a boardwalk doing caricatures, not behind bars.
Lady, I know he charmed you with some pleases and thank yous, but he wasn't so polite to the guy he shot.
And Apu actually chimes in here and is like, actually, he was very polite. He waited with me till the ambulance came and then ran like a deer.
Well, that's mighty nice. But if I let this creep out, would you like him skulking around your neighborhood?
Honestly, it wouldn't bother me.
Well, lady, I'm going to call your bluff. The prisoner is hereby paroled into your custody.
And Marge is shocked, to say the least, but Jack is thrilled. He's so excited at his freedom that he tries to hug Marge, but forgets that he's still in his shackles, so he ends up just choking Marge, which is not a great look. No. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. And then he takes a step back and loops the handcuffs over her so he can give her and he has to go way, way high because of her hair, of course. It's kind of an awkward motion where he's finally able to give her a hug.
You won't regret this.
We see that Marge is actually putting up Jack in the Simpsons basement, which she hopes is okay because it's not very prison-y.
It's more than I deserve, ma'am. Now, which way is Mecca? Because I got to do a little praying.
Mecca? Well,
no, I'm just shaking your chain. I'm Jewish.
Oh, man. This is where Homer is still, we cut to Homer now, who is still complaining about his back, but he's doing some yard work with Bart, raking up leaves into a trash can. And he's like, damn it, my back still hurts. Dr. Steve didn't do anything.
Did you do those exercises he gave you?
Yeah, right. I did them while you were studying.
High five.
And they give a high five so solid that connects so well that it actually knocks Homer backwards, tripping over that trash can. But whereas it looks like it should be an excruciating pain as he lands, it's actually the exact opposite, because Homer gets up and not only is he okay, he feels fantastic. And he actually does a little dance.
That trash can must have unkinked your back.
Not trash can, son. Dr. Homer's miracle spino cylinder. Patent pending. We see at dinner that Homer is giving a presentation that his dents in this spino cylinder, match exactly with the vertebrae, as he calls it, in the human spine. He notices, though, that as he's already made his presentation with the patent pending on it, he sees who is this stranger at the table.
He's a con. He's an ex-con.
And
Homer life back together.
Homer is appalled that they would have an ex-con in front of his unpatented invention.
I don't care about your invention.
I think he says that he just wants 3 squares and a job.
Yeah, that too.
And that's when Marge is like, well, maybe we can get you a job at the Springfield Elementary School.
What? Like, why is that the first?
It does seem like an odd, but it's because literally she looks out the window, and before we saw the prison, now the elementary school is there, so it's like
she just
fresh
sees
on
that
her mind.
Unpainted wall, I guess.
Yeah. We stay with Homer for a little bit now on this spino cylinder situation, and he's treating his friend Lenny first, Lenny's wondering if it can fix his sciatica.
I don't know what that is, so I'm going to say yes. Now go limp.
And Homer pushes him with a nice little saying, 1, 2, better not sue, as Lenny falls over the trash can and gets, again, what looks like should be a very painful fall. Instead, Lenny pops up and is like, ow! I mean, hey, it works. My searing leg pain is now a gentle numbness.
Next.
Homer calls for his next patient, and I cut over Richie so that he could do this voice.
Yes, my car seemed to have broken down, and I was wondering if I could use your.
And Homer just stops listening and pushes him over the trash can.
Oh, that's a pushing motion.
And apparently, though, it also works for nerd back pain, I guess. I don't know. We don't really get to find out what happened with Frank, because chiropractor Steve walks in angry. Simpson, you're not a licensed chiropractor, and you're stealing patients from me and from Dr. Steffi.
Boy, talk about irony. The AMA tries to drive you guys out of business. Now you're doing the same to me. Think about the irony.
And Steve grabs Homer by the collar. You've been warned, Simpson. Stop chiropracting.
Not unless you think about the irony.
Another great joke that I would argue could be the best in the episode if it wasn't second to the one that I claimed earlier. So we once again see a lot of this episode is Marge just going to bat for Jack, putting her reputation on the line for his tarnished one. And from IMDb, I will say that when they were coming up for the idea of this episode, Mike Scully really wanted to do a Marge episode, but they felt that they had done Marge getting a new job too often already. So this was a way to come up with Marge to have something to do, basically, without it being just her getting another job, which she is volunteering for a job. So it's kind of the same thing. I don't know if they got as far away from that as they thought that they did. But that's where the idea for this episode came from.
Fair enough. Just a slight departure, we'll say.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So Marge is instead of going for bat for him at the parole hearing, now she's going for bat for him in front of Principal Skinner. She explains that what did she say? She basically said that Jack has been up at Waterville. I'm sorry, Jack starts to explain that he spent the last 6 years at Waterville State, and Marge quickly jumps in and is like, which is a small liberal arts college, very law-abiding, no convicts at all.
Well, the only other one to apply was Mo Sizlak, and his stuff scares the hell out of me. How can anyone consider that making love? All right, Jack, you're hired. I'll clear out a cubby.
I'll be honest, the script's a little weird, so we kind of messed this part up a little bit, but this was actually to get the job painting the school mural, because morale has been down 3% lately, so they're trying to find a solution.
I just want to know why Skinner has the picture Mo gave him, like, in his pocket.
And it looks like he intends to keep it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But out of all of this, Jack is just surprised, maybe impressed, maybe grateful that Marge told a lie for him. And he says, you told a lie for me. Or I'm sorry, that was Marge. You told a lie for me.
I know, but the Lord will forgive. No, I'm just kidding. I was doing Jack's voice. I know, but the Lord will forgive me until we'll help you get a second chance.
Well, actually, Marge, it's a third if you count that farm couple.
Farm couple?
But I've got a really good feeling about this one, Marge. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to the end of our second act. So we've got Homer has a new side hustle at the risk of angering the chiropractor community. And we have Marge putting it pretty much all on the line now at this point, or at least her reputation is concerned, vouching for Jack to be able to do this job well.
And now he knows that she will lie for him too. That
definitely has opened up there's definitely an opportunity there, I think, that Jack sees.
Mm-hmm.
We actually cut back to start out our third act with Jack finishing the mural, so we missed most of the process and just see the results. There is no journey, just the destination for this episode. It's a pretty dope looking piece of art. It's a warrior princess riding a fierce puma. Puma. Man, words are hard. At least I didn't make it sound sexual.
I thought they were the Wildcats, like in a few seasons ago.
Yeah,
who are we? The Wildcats.
Who
are we gonna beat? The Wildcats. But yeah, it's a
puma. Is a kind of wildcat.
It sounds like one that stinks.
Puma.
So it looks like Xena standing with the sword over a puma.
Yeah.
God, Miles.
But the kids all seem to dig it, and everybody's like, finally, art that doesn't suck. Until Skinner walks up.
Dear Lord, what are you doing?
You don't like it?
No, it's all wrong. The shapely female form has no place in art.
But what I thought was that
I sketched out exactly what I wanted.
Well, yeah, I know, but see, what I was going for here.
Did you even look at the napkin?
And I guess good thing he didn't pull out the wrong napkin and show Mo's drawing, but he pulls out his own concept art for like a very, very cutesy wootsy happy day cartoon of a puma holding hands with a boy and a girl.
Oh, I was in the zone that day.
That was Skinner. Long story short, Jack doesn't want to do the cutesy wootsy stuff because it's not his style. Skinner gets mad and is like, if you want to keep your job, you'll make it your style. And you can very clearly see that Jack is agreeing. But what's that Reddit thread? Malicious compliance is what this is looking like it's going to be. All right, you're the boss, man, ain't you?
Darn right, I'm the boss. Don't forget, I can send you back to where you came from, college boy. And he keeps like poking him while he's doing it too, which makes it worse.
Just being a real dick, honestly.
Yeah.
But Jack understands where he's, at in his situation. He's taking it on the chin and he starts whitewashing the wall essentially to start over.
Poor Puma.
And just in case you weren't sure that this dude was a beefcake earlier, we get a shirtless version of Jack working out in the basement doing pull-ups with Marge doing laundry. And homie is ripped, like straight up has like all.
When you said homie, I thought you meant Homer for a second.
No, Jack. Our homie Jack is ripped AF. He's also asking Marge for permission to make booze in the washing machine. Clearly, he needs to drink off his frustration.
Not until you finish your Sunday.
And again, this is where this joke does become, it's such a dumb joke and it's so just random. But Jack is also like, oh, all right. And he's like, as he's struggling down the Sunday.
What's wrong with my Sundays?
And again, they look amazing. Like aesthetically, they look awesome.
It was like for such a random joke earlier. I love the callback.
Mm-hmm. We still have more story to tell with Homer as well, because he's now giving Mo an adjustment with his Spino cylinder. And Mo is shocked. He's like, hey, it don't hurt no more. Now I can focus on my crippling emotional pain. Oh, Daddy, why? Why won't you hug me? You hug the mailman.
Oh.
And just then, two well-dressed men enter the garage.
Excuse me, sir. Is this El Clinico Magnifico?
Ah, you saw our bus ad.
We'd like to invest in your spinal adjustment device.
Oh, we might be able to do business.
We'll need to take some photographs.
And they actually, instead of just taking pictures, they grab the Spino cylinder and start walking out the garage. And Homer tries to stop them by closing the garage door. But being chiropractors, these men are far too good at limbo. So they're able to limbo right underneath as the garage door is closing. It's like if limbo met Indiana Jones.
Wait a minute. No investor can bend like that.
They're chiropractors.
Time to hunt them down, Homer.
We see that the two men jump in chiropractor Steve's truck, and they take his Spino cylinder with them. And actually, they smash it up and leave it in a basically worthless hump of metal on the ground outside.
No, my Spino cylinder. They'll pay for what they did to my can.
Yeah, forget it, Homer. It's Cairo Town.
And then you've got one of those like old school detective shots where like the dead person's in the middle of the street and it pans out with the, detective-y music.
Exactly, the genre.
You know what I mean.
So this looks like the end of Homer's chiropractor business, and it looks
that
like
was fast.
Looks like a new beginning for the school mural of the Puma. Because Skinner is out now dedicating the mural. When Superintendent Chalmers suggested a school mural, I almost thought he said a school mural. He's laughing, but nobody else is. Muriel is his sister, and well, thank you, Bruce Valanche.
Hoopy would have made it work.
I Bruce Valanche joke. I don't get. I will be honest, but anyway, we see that the mural is revealed, and it pretty much is a professionally done version of exactly what Skinner had on his napkin. There's cutesy wootsy children holding hands with a cutesy wootsy puma, and rainbow in the background. It's exactly as sugary as it was delivered, and Chalmers isn't having it.
Well, even the kids are like, what happened to the cool one? And Flanders even thinks that it's too sugary.
That's too sugary even for my taste.
Skinner, how are we going to raise school spirit with this sappy hokum?
I know, sir. It's an embarrassment. Jack, this isn't what I wanted. Where's the edge?
I followed your napkin.
No napkin can wipe the crumbs of failure from your mouth.
Now, don't fight. All great art is controversial at first, but years from now, people will point to these cuddly little creatures and say, that's a Jack Crowley.
And you can tell that Jack is still angry at Skinner, but softened by Marge.
I feel like her saying that makes him angrier, in my opinion, because that is a Jack Crowley right there, pointing at this piece of crap artwork.
Yeah, something that he would never want to have his name attached to. That's fair.
Yeah.
We cut from this situation that looked like it could turn violent, that was, at least for the moment, settled down by Marge. And now Skinner is working in the cafeteria trying to figure out exactly how lunch should be planned. Now, pizza's working well on Thursday, but I think the kids will follow it to Tuesday.
That's what you said about the stuffed peppers, and you lost the young males.
And just then Milhouse runs in the room saying that the school is on fire. And sure enough, they go outside to find that the mural that was just painted is actually burning. And
they Katniss Everdeen before Katniss Everdeen here?
I think they might have. Simpsons did it. That basically made Skinner immediately suspect that Jack was the culprit.
But the cool part was that like the old mural burned away, and you could see the new mural burned away, and you could see the old mural underneath it.
And everybody was like, "Oh, this is badass!" And even with like the fire around the edge, made it look even cooler. And then it immediately burned off too, though.
Oh,
yeah, and everybody was disappointed, basically.
But for that split second, they're like, "Oh, that's something to be proud of."
And yeah, exactly. It would have, if they would have just let Jack do his original idea, none of this would have ever happened. But also safe to say that maybe Jack didn't handle the situation too well in the after events of all this.
I don't know. I think his idea was on fire, man.
Well, the fire department does show up. They extinguish the wall, and Skinner is basically saying that felon could have torched the whole school if it were not stuffed with asbestos.
Yeah, but before that, Marge accidentally lets it slip that he is an ex-con, because we didn't know that yet.
That's right, Skinner. And Skinner's all concerned. He's like, an ex-con? I peed in front of him.
But then we get the part where he talks about the asbestos.
And Wiggum arrives on the scene. Well, catch Crowley, and then he'll learn the fine art of police brutality.
And then, Miles, we get the craziest scene in the episode. There's this random long pipe in the middle of Springfield Elementary schoolyard that you've never seen before, or it's never been this long before.
I even remember watching this episode as a kid, and like as soon as that thing pops up on screen, it like suddenly the Simpsons morphs into an episode of Dora the Explorer, and you're like pointing at the TV. You're like, he's right there. He's right there.
Oh, that's when I think Jack is telling Marge at that point, I didn't do it. And she's like, why are you hiding? He's like, oh, come on. They're going to expect it to be me. It's always going to be me or blah, 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 blah. And that's when he uses Marge, I think we could say here.
He manipulates her. Manipulates the fact that she is soft to him and sees him as like a kind soul.
And Marge basically says, okay, I'll try and distract them so you can slip away. And she's buying it. She's thinking that he's innocent. She even says, like, if you tell me you didn't do it, I'll believe you. And he's like, I didn't do it.
I do love to. It's so ridiculous the way Marge is able to distract Wiggum and Skinner, because she basically is like, oh, boys, I found some evidence that points to the real arsonist. It's in this bag. But instead of showing them, she's like, I'm not going to tell you unless you guess what it is.
We don't have time for guessing games.
But Wiggum's like, well, no, let's try it. It might be fun. Is it DNA? So it's like DNA. Is it a hatchet?
You had a turn. I won, I guess.
So it works because these two like become quasi-competitive with one another over being able to guess what evidence Marge could have possibly found. But unfortunately for Marge's like probably feelings for one, and just like, her trust issues that will probably develop from this, we see that Jack, instead of getting away, is now lighting Skinner's car ablaze, literally holding a can of gasoline, dancing around it like crazy, where it's very, very obvious that he is the one that is lighting this car on fire.
My car!
And he's cackling, Puma Pride, catch the fever, Skinner.
And the laugh that Michael Keaton is doing while he's like dousing this car in gasoline was like pretty darn evil. I love the laugh.
Do you think he called Jack Nicholson up and is like, hey, buddy, remember when we did that movie and you were that weird clown? How'd you pull that laugh off?
But the laugh, I don't think Keaton sounds like that in real life.
No, he doesn't.
He didn't call in characters Jack Crowley.
Dude, he's very method, bro. He actually spent 6 years in prison just for this cameo.
That sounds like it. But the laugh was maniacal and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, very much so. Marge is obviously upset to the point that she uses what would be considered foul language for her. She calls Jack a crumb bum. But she's, rightfully upset that Jack looked her right in the eyes and lied to her.
Marge, this is the God's truth. I burned down the mural, but I did not burn Skinner's car.
I saw you. Get him out of here, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we see Wiggum and Jack.
I love this scene.
This is a great scene. Wiggum is basically driving Jack back to jail in the squad car. And Wiggum is like making small talk. Man, my wife and I are watching that Oz show on HBO. Is prison really like that?
Wouldn't know. We only get basic cable.
Ouch. I also like that Sex in the City. None of those girls look like my wife.
Sports Center's not bad.
Yeah, I never got that show.
What's to get? They just tell the scores.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Hey, you meet any mob guys? Are they really like The Sopranos?
I told you we just get basic cable.
Oh, right. Well, listen, if I'm getting too chatty, just tell me to shut up.
I'm enjoying it. Hey, you ever watch them strongman contests? They're pretty good. Those guys look strong. Other guys in prison say they're gay, but I don't know. They look strong to me.
And it brings us to the end of our third act and to the end of the episode, Pokey Mom. Richie, is there anything else that you or that book of yours want to talk about this episode?
I thought I would just not enjoy this episode. I don't have fond memories of this one. I just feel like it was kind of boring. On rewatch, I would give it a lot more credit than that. I, for some reason, could not remember that it was Michael Keaton in this episode.
Same.
And after actually like hearing him and figuring it out, like it made me really, really enjoy the guest star in this one. And I honestly think the guest star voice, along with the quick little chiropractor jokes in it, really elevated this episode a lot more than it initially was. And it's just I feel like it's kind of certain aspects of it are just a little bit boring about the prison and the school mural and all that stuff. Just doesn't do a whole lot for me in this one. I'm glad Marge got a couple of quick little zingers in there too, like she has been lately on certain parts. but I just really enjoyed the guest star, and I particularly like the last scene. I like Wiggum and Jack. They just doesn't seem like they should quite get along, but then they start getting along a little bit. He's probably about to escape though. He's probably about to get Wiggum.
Yeah, he's just buttering Wiggum up like he buttered Marge.
Yeah.
I agree with some of what you had to said. I do have fond memories of this episode, but once again, I kind of remember this episode in twos. Like I remember the chiropractor episode or part of this more than I remember the Marge and the prisoner episode. But I do remember liking this episode when I was a kid. I think they did a good job of giving Marge something to do that, again, wasn't just getting a new job, even though aspects of that I think were closer than they may have intended. But this feels like it's another one of a stronger episode. Like we've been on a string of stronger episodes going on since about the fourth or fifth episode of this season. I do think just looking ahead, there's a good chance we might hit a couple that might dip a little bit in terms of that, at least according to popular opinion. Of course, we always want to take a fresh take. But all in all, I think this was a really enjoyable episode with a really good guest star. Maybe if we are ever bold enough to try to rank guest stars on this show, this one would be one that would have to come into contention.
I can agree with that.
But that is going to do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly review show. Richie, where can they follow us online?
Follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off. And follow me at the Wiz_Kid23. But most importantly, I don't know why Miles got all the emphasis. Maybe because I was yawning and stretching and I played it off like a champ. Follow our show.
An opera singer.
At Best Darn Diddly. That's Didly.
That's not how you spell that, actually. You should try that again.
At Best Darn Diddly, Didly.
You only said one D the first time. You said Didly.
Here at Best Darn Diddly, you always get the two Ds.
That's true. 2 dicks in every episode. All right. I had to go there. Anyway, make sure you come back again next week because Richie and I are going to be practicing our inner nerd voices as we discuss the worst episode ever.
And trust me when I say all great podcasts are controversial at first, but years from now, people will point to these episodes and say, that's a Best Darn Diddly.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.